Going into.
Well, good evening. Call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Hampden Selectboard and Board of Health being held in the Townhouse Auditorium, May 5th, 2025 at 6 p.m. This meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is anyone else recording the meeting other than ourselves?
And
Kristen Rivers from the Wilbraham Hampden Times. Good morning, good evening.
Good Monday.
Good Monday. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Okay. What do we got here?
A minute.
The first item we have on the agenda are minutes of the April 7th, 2025 executive session, which was negotiation with the highway superintendent for his contract.
For, John, this is the sequence of minutes for the contract things. Is this going to be one of the ones that you are going to recommend for release?
Yeah.
So I might as well go ahead and approve and not do the not for release.
Right.
Okay, fine. Motion to approve minutes with the release.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the May 1st, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Discussed the senior center, building committee was here. Fire station, their warrant article. The town treasurer gave a financial update review. Talked about the move to Thornton Burgess School. And we had our usual reports.
Motion to approve.
Is that the one I zoomed in on?
Yes,
So I was there.
I think that was May last.
No, this is
May,
the
yeah.
municipal building meeting we just had on Thursday.
May 1st.
Yeah. The one you zoomed in on is the only other set of minutes that isn't ready yet.
Okay, so this is the
Oh, there's a municipal building meeting.
yeah, I was,
Yeah.
Okay, that's a municipal building meeting.
Yeah, and it said, yeah,
Okay,
so we don't have minutes of last Monday.
no. So use,
I make the motion.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
That was easy.
That's how you roll.
Okay, budget request, oh my God. Okay, next item on the agenda is discussing the police department budget. We have the chief with us.
Hi, chief. So this is something I have to put on, and part of, I don't know if you heard Brian's update on the projected budget for this year, but as I think, Brian, you said this morning at the Senior Center Building Committee meeting, we could be looking anywhere from 8 to 10% an increase this year.
That's the numbers advisory gave for the operating budget. I think it was like, said between 7 or 8%.
Yeah,
and just for clarification, according to Dick, that's not the projected tax rate increase.
It's the increase in the
But
operating.
not the tax rate increase,
Correct.
no, not at this point. yet.
just because sometimes that
Don't
gets
know about
confused.
offsets yet,
Right.
right? No. So what I talked to the board about in something last week is, are there opportunities maybe to look at requests and bring it down a bit? We had a pretty big impact last year for people. Things aren't getting any better, and bring in different departments and see, is there anything we can do with the police budget? Knowing that there's a good potential in the fall and the spring, we talked before, that you're gonna need some new vehicles. You know, we're all approaching, the last one in the 70s at this point, probably. So there's a good chance that we've had, I think, 2 years without a car. Yeah. So you're gonna probably be looking at, I wouldn't be surprised at 2 vehicles in the fall, or at least 1 fall, 1 spring. So looking at that going ahead, is there an opportunity for any other savings in the budget that we could make a motion at the town meeting? The one I know I've spoken to you before about is that, you know, we have the SRO for Green Meadows, and I wonder if there's an opportunity to rather than bringing somebody in on overtime, tasked with that, with the officers that are on duty at the time. You know, right now they go over for, I think, 2 hours twice a week.
4 hours, twice a week.
4 hours twice a week. Could that be split into a couple hours daily type thing for the officers on duty? If they have to leave, they have to leave. I know that the SRO doesn't do the classroom work anymore because the school is too busy, you know, they can't fit it into their schedule. So typically it's interacting with the children during cafeteria time, perhaps recess. And is that something that you've always really encouraged your police officers to do community policing? Interacting is the mantra that I think both Jeff and yourself have really endorsed. Does this really allow that opportunity for basically the people who are on duty as well?
So a post has changed the guidelines from what we used to. When I first became chief, the push was to the board, is I would like a school resource officer in the school. We share a school resource officer with Wilbraham, which we know that. And we've always had, between, like I said, under Jeff, between myself and Sergeant Joy, their officer was somebody in the school. And you could take someone from patrol, or you could have assigned people who went to extra classes for that particular stuff. When post came along, when I first became chief, that's why I came to the board and got your grace to support our school resource officer program, was we have to have someone certified. It has to be approved through the superintendent's office. And not all schools were on board with that. Our school was on board with it. Previous superintendent and the current superintendent. This memorandum of understanding to have that certified school resource through post, through the municipal training council, to be certified. So for me to send an officer during the day over there, I can't do that. I could send him in there, stop by and say, hi, walk out, and that's fine. But technically, a school resource officer is supposed to be the one going into the school, assisting in the school.
So it's that certification thing that really is the impediment at this point.
And that became when post became
Right.
current with all of our recertifications.
What does it take to become SRO
A
certified?
40-hour a week training.
Online?
No.
40-hour a
In
week
person.
training or 40?
There's
40
40
hour
hours
training, yeah.
to be trained. It's a NASRO training, it's called, National School Resource Officers Association. You send one of your officers selected through your agreement with the chief of police and the superintendent, believing that that person's the right fit for your school, to go to this training for 40 hours. And then there's in-service, usually, which could be done, actually, the in-service for the SRO is in person again also. That's done in Norwood. So that's a 3-day in-service to keep that going. So it's a 40 hours and then a 3-day in-service too.
So do most departments only have one person, or it really does depend on how many schools allow this and they match it up per school? Like, for instance, Wilbraham, obviously they have Officer Menard certified for the high school. But do they have SROs in other schools?
No, they should, they're down. They use one officer. SRO Menard has retired since, and they put a new one in there. He's been accepted by the superintendent and by the town to be their SRO. He's been certified, but unfortunately, he has to spend most of his time at the high school. He doesn't get to field out to the other schools as much as he should. They probably should have a district, that's why they should at least have 3 school resource officers,
Right.
easily. We, again, being a shared and being a different agreement sharing a school district, to be honest with you, you probably really don't even need to have a school resource officer if that's what you wanted in there. I've always gone for that and looked for that and said, it's nice to have a report. I've experienced the kids coming up to me several years later, recognize me and go, hey, you're the one that we had in the school, right? And so it's always impressed upon me to keep somebody in there.
Well, I've seen that, you know, we do read aloud together, and I know when I go there and you're there, the kids come up and greet you.
Right.
Because they have that understanding that they back the blue in this town.
Right.
And they get that from their parents as well. But again, looking at it from just a cost standpoint, is there a way we can accomplish this without the overhead? And I go back to, like you say, you and I go back to the DARE days, which was a lot more interaction with the kids at this point. We just know, it doesn't look like the school has that opportunity for the immersive interaction that SRO really wants to do. And I'm sure there are many things in the 40 hours that are covered that we don't do right now just because the classrooms are so busy, they don't have the opportunity to go into them, and that's what I'm getting from the principal.
So my question, I guess, to the whole select board, Is this one member, or is this a select board decision or thought process on the school resource officer at our Green Meadow School?
It was more of a budget thing, but, yeah.
It's more, but we're used to.
I mean, you take that one incident where you have that officer that could have been there, should have been there, that might have been there for 4 hours, right? And then, so, I mean, all day long, we can sit here back and forth and argue. We did have a way in there at one point in time when we had our detective who was used as a utility detective. We lost that. I've been trying not to send the officer over there for both shifts. I've been trying to be conscientious on the budget already.
So what happens now, if you send them over there, do you have to get someone to?
So that's the thing. So because if he's working, if he's scheduled to work tomorrow, being Tuesday.
9 to 5, let's say 9 to 5.
Say he's scheduled to work 9 to 5 tomorrow. I send him to the school, I replace him on shift, so I have someone covering the shift. Before, with a detective, I didn't have to do that. I could take that detective and put him in that place. The new contract negotiations, I can't do that. I have to offer it up for overtime, because that guy is gone. Now, if it's on a day off and he goes over there, he gets paid overtime. So the monies that you see in the budget line item that I have, which is, I think, like $36,000, it's by shift. So it's for 2 4-hour shifts per week to be over there. And what it includes is an average. So like the $68 an hour, that averages out to get that line item of 36,000 is an average. If I was sending a sergeant who took that overtime shift at a special rate, he could be making $80 an hour. The other one, if I had an opportunity to send a reserve officer over there, he could be making it $25. So we had to do an average. So I'm not spending that whole 36 that's in my budget line item on this. I mean,
You're thinking worst case, you're covering
that's
yourself
worst case. That's a buffer, really. And I'm actually really giving money back. I mean, last year, we gave money back on that line because we had a situation where this particular officer involved had to give us community resource officer hours to be there. And so he wasn't getting paid to go there. This year,
The person you bring in, like you say, but they're paid overtime if you have to bring somebody in for the 4-hour coverage.
Right.
It's also an overtime thing as well.
that becomes the overtime added to that particular line area. That's why we have school resource line budget in my.
The 4-hour, and this is informative to us as well, the 4 hours that they're shifted at Green Meadows, is that because of the block, the minimum block time for?
No, that's
call-in?
accepted. That's above and beyond that minimum 40 hour.
No, I mean, because I say that if they don't go into the classroom and they're just basically, whether it's during lunchtime or maybe recess time, what are they doing for the full 4 hours if they're not in the classroom?
Well, they're supposed to be, as you said, they're supposed to be in there as an officer in the building for safety, number one. They're supposed to be visiting the classrooms. They're supposed to be at the lunch duty recess, inside the lunchroom, and just being available for assistance in the school.
I think
and assisting in some class.
I think there's a little bit of spontaneity there too. You're not locked into a schedule. Yeah, you're there for the lunches, you're that body in the building, and there's a spontaneity of, you don't know when he's going to be there. So that's a deterrent as well.
Right.
So, I mean, Scott, you asked if the whole board was in favor of that reduction, and I'm not in favor of that reduction. I backed you with the school resource officer from day one, and I will continue to back the school resource officer. I understand there's the question of the overtime that gets involved in there, and unfortunately, that's our doing on contractual negotiations. I'm not in favor of cutting that line.
All right, I take a little umbrage because I don't want you to characterize what I said. I never said cut the SRO.
I know you didn't say cut
but I mean,
it,
let's
and
be clear
I'll
about that.
rephrase that.
Okay, I want to see if we could fold that
Yeah.
task into the budget under the normal patrol operation, is what I was saying.
And unfortunately, the way I think the contract's written, I think our hands are tied in that position.
Okay, and I think the chief has done a pretty good job explaining that, and that's what I appreciate. But where I was coming from, could it be done in the normal operation? You're saying because of certification, that's the biggest impediment at this point. You have one person certified. Right.
We used to be able to get away with that 3,
Exactly.
4 years ago.
Right.
Whereas it's all changed for
Now,
certifications.
post is
from
done,
post.
another part of the whole oversight thing they've done has changed
An
that.
unmandated overtime that goes back to departments that if you want to have this program, then you're going to go ahead and have a certified, which I believe you should have all that training. I mean, you
Well, it's
could,
too bad you can't certify more people, but again, then you're going to
But
be
then-
paying for them to go to the, et cetera.
you're going to be,
as well.
I'm going to come to you and ask for a training budget to be increased
Exactly.
because now I've got to
Right.
certify 2, 3 school resources. I'm saying it's got to be the right fit that myself and the superintendent have to agree to be in there.
What happens if a vacation comes up at that time, it just doesn't go in that week?
Correct. And that's where the savings do come. I mean, and I've been trying to be conscientious, knowing we've had some concerns and issues with it. He hasn't been going over the full 8 hours. Matter of fact, he's been out of it right now for a couple other things going on. But, so there are savings, and like I said, that line isn't always being spent each year.
Great.
And just on the point of the whole SRO thing, you know, to the positive aspects of it, I've seen in community events, you know, the nights out or the fireworks, whatever, you know, children in my son's classroom see the SRO in another atmosphere, and they're comfortable enough where they can go up and talk to him and say, hi, you know, officer, you know.
No, I think that's what I was saying with the chief interaction as well.
Right, you know, when back from his day.
That's why I brought to the board in the beginning that I would like to continue to have someone in there if we were able to, as it was supported by all 3 members of the board at that point in time. So that's why I'd asked that question.
No, like I said, I think the clarification you brought to us is well appreciated. Okay. Keep us in the loop, I would think, going forward with vehicle concerns. Right now, is there anything extraordinary we should know about, or?
No, I mean, you
get a
know,
sense of
obviously
it.
our cruisers are getting up towards that 80, and that's why I frowned upon last year when I'd asked for a cruiser. I think that's the way we've been able to at least throw one. Now we're gonna be looking at 2. The other thing that I went for was the handguns. Obviously, we're going to be coming up on definitely handguns being replaced. That's, you know, sooner rather than later. You're hitting that 8-9 mark where we were at the 7-8 year. And the last thing you wanna do is extend it out. Too far, especially now that everybody around us is going to, plus it's a cost savings if you go to a 9mm.
I was just gonna ask that, is there a cost savings in the caliber changes?
Alone, between the 9 and the 45s we carry, so.
What's the ballpark for the revolvers, do you think?
Revolvers?
I don't want to go back to revolver, that's.
I'm just saying,
no, I
what's the
know what you're saying.
ballpark, 9, 7, 9, or what, 20?
We were up around 20. Yeah. I mean, now, again, I don't know where it is now. I mean, it could be far more because of everything that's going on. You know, we had the company that was working hand in hand with us that was going to take our weapons in as a trade, which that's still there, but I've got to also look to get a new firearms instructor to do some research for me on that.
How's your IT going?
You got any wood? We are going okay, but at some point in time, that's another thing we're gonna have to discuss, a second position. And then, you know, do we train someone outside of our agency, besides having someone inside, which does know our basic, which is good, but then maybe having someone who oversees that too on the outside. But we definitely should be looking towards another officer or person to do that. So our IT, the cruisers are coming up, new firearms, so those are some concerns that we're gonna be looking to go to.
Sergeant?
Excuse me?
Sergeant exam, wasn't that this week?
The
or
exam was was Saturday. There was 4 officers that took it. I should get the results back tomorrow morning. And then what I'll do is I'll have interviews, and then we'll look to appoint rather than sooner than later.
I know in the past sometime that Norm or something would attend some of those.
You had mentioned that previous sergeant, when we appointed the previous sergeant. Yeah, the policy basically states two sergeants, a minimum of 2 sergeants from the Hampden Police Department, the chief of police, and then a chief of police from another community, which I utilized Munson's chief of police last time. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use him again this time, or if I use just another one, once I get the results.
I think just a dinner certificate to whoever you pull in from outside.
Cookies, armadas.
Save some money.
Hungry?
No, I'm all set, thank you. I had my tacos.
Day early.
It's not Tuesday, it's Monday, but I had a taco tonight. It's
Oh, Cinco.
Cinco, yeah.
I'm done with this witness.
Any
I really appreciate you coming in.
further
Scott.
questions?
I have no questions.
John, you got anything for him?
You're free to go.
Great job.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Are you doing a lot of detailed requests for the water project yet? or-
Yes.
Yeah.
There's, I think,
Every day. One shot.
There's been at least two officers, 2 to 3 officers there, yeah.
Wow, that should be pretty steady for a while.
Yeah, I saw that come in through. I did get that email. Yeah.
I hope those were set up beforehand, no?
Of the schedule. No, today's, actually, we got called this morning at 6:30.
Oh, that's nice.
But
Notice.
Are you able to keep a lot of it local, at least you guys, or?
most of our guys are really.
Jumping on
really
it?
doing it
Okay,
between our
good.
part-timers and our full-timers. So,
Good.
yeah, there's a big pull for that, yeah. So,
Now, that rate is the $70 rate. for town projects?
I don't believe so, but
Do you have the contract?
It'll take me a little while.
Johnny, you know what they've been
Take a
putting
little while
in,
to pull it up.
75 or 70?
But that I don't know.
It depends on how Mark actually bills it out. It's my understanding of the way it's been for the town. But if so, we'll have to definitely jump on board and make it a change because they've been working it for a couple weeks already. And there's been paid at one certain rate, which I'm not 100% sure if that's a 75 or 70. But I know what the contract does say about the $70 rate for an in-town detail. But that was my understanding. If Mark hired the in-town detail for the highway department to do something, but when he contracts out to another group, the $75 an hour is put into that contract to them of what they're willing to.
We don't pay it anyhow.
No, you get the 10% right now.
We don't pay it anyhow.
There's another clarification, so we're doing good tonight. I'll stay here, you want me to continue?
They're building up that off-duty account, nice.
Yeah, but we can't,
Probably can buy some guns with it.
no, I looked into it, we can't buy cruisers, we can't buy guns.
But we did buy cruiser.
Well, that doesn't mean just because you did.
No, Dick let it go. I mean, if he wrote the check, what do we
hey.
say, huh?
All right.
It's like 4 years ago or something, you got paid half.
Prior to me, I've been here 4 years, chief of police prior to me. Time flies when we're all having fun, right?
All right.
Need a Kubota?
Well, maybe.
Oh, okay. Lawnmower? You can get a lawnmower with it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna leave on that one.
Check with Dan on the way.
Better go before the well comes up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
all right, well,
Thank you,
thank you
Chief.
very much.
Grass is dead, not the.
All right, Police Department, Water District update. Where are we?
Brian, do you want to kick this off?
Hey, where's the new guy?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I guess I'll kick it off with a question. So is it still 25 out of 28 that you've heard back from? So how many people are connecting that you know for sure out of the 28?
All but what? Two? We're still waiting for responses. Yeah. We sent out three letters,
From the three?
and I have not heard any of them respond.
So 25 have said yes.
Yeah.
Right? And there's 3 outstanding.
Right.
And, well, one of those 25 is 129 Scantic Road,
Yes, it is.
correct? And that's the service line connection, that's like
Over and under and through the woods,
500
right?
feet through the woods, grandmother's house.
He's requested that they do directional boring underground. And the original quote was $90,000. And we have yet to get any quotes back from any of the contractors that do that type of work. Because Balsazar does not do that. He's contracted out to some, we don't know what the cost is. We have been over to that residence home at least two times. And, he's really concerned about how his property is going to be impacted by this.
This is also a resident that had no detection. He's the farthest one in the district as well.
Correct.
And I think it's simple, is there a way that we can talk to DEP and have this location removed from the list?
We tried. Asked the DEP if we could take some of these homes off the consideration list, and they were reluctant to support that.
Don't seem to be ready to make any kind of changes.
Yes.
They just hemmed and hawed in the meeting.
But there's a potential, if we could get them to
so
say
there's
yes,
a
we would,
potential to get it
potential, we could get a change order to Balthazar and save a considerable amount of money.
Right.
From what they're saying.
I got a what-if scenario here, if you guys are interested.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Come on. There we go. Because John and I, he said, we went up there and took a look at it, and going on site, it's a lot uglier than, it's a lot more work than I think anybody realized.
And I thought from conversations prior, he didn't want to hook up originally.
Well, he feels like they're between a rock and a hard place. He's worried that if he passes up on this, and down the road, they have a hit, he's gonna be on the hook for the whole thing himself. And who can afford it, right?
Right.
So he doesn't want to pass it up, but he's concerned about, what is it, about 900 feet?
Somewhere.
Yeah, it's a long way up, and we walked it.
Well,
There's
that
ledge.
and the stream, like I said, the mold
There's
drilling and all that.
two streams, there's boulders everywhere.
So when engineering went in there to lay out all the plans, did they account for any of that?
I don't know what they did, quite honestly. I think those were estimates, because John and I have walked on other properties, and the prints and reality are two different things. But the impact is minor compared to 129. The estimate, as you can see on here, if you want to, we can go through this.
Is it-
The estimate right now we have is 90,000, and I think there's significant upside on that. We met with the Baltazar crew, and they walked it with us, and they're scratching their head going, we got to get some numbers on this.
Is option one a real option? Can we do nothing?
Well,
The
I think
agreement-
that's the option I would recommend, is
we
option
can.
one.
Will DEP allow us?
We can do nothing, we'd just be on the hook for testing.
Yeah, you would just have to continue testing. You don't have to hook up.
If they allow us to maybe even reduce the amount of testing to maybe,
Okay, so option one is actually do no remediation, but continue to test.
that's where we are.
Exactly.
And that
Because
cost
the
is-
water has never had any detection. He's happy with the water.
He really would support option one,
Yeah,
as long as he knows that if we, all of a sudden, we start detecting PFAS or any of the VOCs,
You put a filter
we'll
in.
take care of it.
We could go to option three
and
after
option
that, right?
3 is what he would like to do if option 1 wasn't available.
What's the cost of option one?
Option 1, if you go to the top,
No,
$4,500 initial plus
no, that's the filtration thing. What's option one?
Option
It's
1
just,
costs nothing.
Test, no, it's testing.
Testing costs.
Testing, yeah.
Testing, it's $2,100 a year.
That's what I'm saying. So the
Right,
cost of
right.
option one is 21. All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, the testing costs for option 3 are the same as well.
Because you still have to test plus
Still
filter,
have to test because it's a private well,
post and pre.
right?
Yep. The
Well,
testing
those-
would stay the same.
Right, I
But
see,
if you look at the expense over 10 years, it's a third of hooking up.
Yeah.
We're looking at 30 years.
and there was a possibility in the meeting that if we kept seeing zero results, they would do a reconsideration. Wouldn't be immediate, but perhaps after 2 or 3 years of zeros, they drop the testing requirement maybe to biannually.
Right.
Annually as well.
Right.
So this could be worst case and could get better.
Yeah,
Right.
it definitely could.
Right, and I think if I remember correctly from that meeting with DEP, that the filtration would only be required if there's positive hits, right? If there's, if it's coming up clean time and time again, they wouldn't require filtration.
Correct.
So it just, right now, it would just be annual testing costs.
And I think those testing costs are high,
Right,
because if we can get it reduced it to once, twice a year.
right, from quarterly down to annually.
750, what's 750 test?
Right, so you'd be under that 2,100 a year.
Yeah.
And was that the second location after South Munson? Yeah, the first one on the corner, the old Pease household. And I thought they were also a zero as well, or no detect.
I don't know if they're next door or farther down.
Or is there one more in between, Paul?
There might be.
And then right next, then we got across the street, who's,
Where you're hooking up Moriarty?
yes.
Yep, and I thought that was the last one on the south side.
That's 148. Isn't that 148?
104.
One of that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have this, a resident that we were talking about tonight, and then there's 2 more down the road. There's the one where, across the street from, who used to live there before, passed away, he and his wife. And White House across the street from where, 129 is.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember his name, sorry.
So,
That's almost down to Larry Smith. But I can't-
Larry Smith.
There you go.
Really that far? Okay, wow, all
Yeah,
right.
but then there's a house after that. They were here at that meeting we had several months ago discussing what, and they're really all, supportive of getting a good, clean water in there, because they're nervous. DEP made people nervous
when they
I
started.
did.
Because they're talking about the plume and, you know, the possibility of it.
Aren't you down to another, isn't there another small culvert as you're coming down to the Smith House or something? You have to like directional drill under?
It's,
I don't think so.
it's the
Or is it
one,
after the Smith
It
House?
must be. I don't remember that, but I could be wrong.
it's not in, like,
I mean, those little hidden ones you don't see, you know,
Yeah,
down by
there's a lot of
Warren's
little
house.
streams down that road, so it's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
So of the 3 homes that have no response, one of them is 129, which,
No, he responded.
he responded.
so there's only 2 homes then that are,
No,
No,
there's-
there's 3 last I knew.
okay, so
There's one on
3
Scantic.
and 129.
3 and 129, okay. So the 3 that we have no response from, are any of them testing positive right now?
I don't believe so.
So they're all negative. And we've had no interaction with them, we can't get a hold of them, through multiple tries, certified letters and
They
whatnot.
just, yeah, they sent out a certified letter at the end of last week.
So,
There's one on Cross.
so I would say, if there's 3 that have no response after certified letters, we just take no
Take them
action.
out.
You're still stubbing
Curb
at the
stop will go in
location.
and-
We're stubbing it no matter what.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
So the hookup, if they're close, it's no worse than that 9 to 10,000 you had hooked.
Yeah,
Anyhow, right,
those houses are not
not bad,
big
yeah.
job.
Yeah, the other,
And you have to read that 21 South Munson, if you want to just say whatever happened. You said that would turn out to be a rental, or they're living somewhere else, or?
she is living in California, renting a house now. I've been in communication with her. She wants to hook up. So,
It just took forever to finally get in touch
yeah.
with her.
Yep, she-
Did we ever finally get a test? That was the one at the meeting we had. They had never actually gotten permission
I
to get
think
one.
we're gonna have to deal directly with the renter.
Okay.
so the other option was if they were testing positive, then it'd be a Board of Health concern.
Yes.
But since they're not testing positive, technically, there's no health concern there.
Right, well, or just it's the DEP.
Right.
I don't say order or whatever. So we're recommending option 1 for 129 Scannick at this point.
Right.
I still don't think it's a bad idea to keep the dialogue open with DEP and say, you know, is there a way to mitigate the district map as we go further?
Yes.
You know? Because you may see, I know you're talking about the ones further down on Scannick on the south side. Are they zeros also, or NDs?
I believe so.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I mean, you're really pushing the limits going down the road that far.
Oh.
And there's at least 3 streams buffering or between those properties and the dump.
I almost feel like some of those are upstream too, you
and
know?
also when Ty and Bond, originally Tom Kuchar said, everything hydraulically goes to the west because that's the flow of the river. To
Right.
think that that plume would go against the river flow to the east is,
I mean, we have one house on South Munson. I think it's the second, the one in the very corner, South Munson and Scantic, you would think would be affected. It's not. The next house up on South Munson, we got ratings on that one. So
traction at that
It's-
point, yeah.
geology is the big issue here.
Or it's not related,
Or it's still
or it's not related, but there's no way to prove it.
That's a solid point.
Right.
Right.
And the odd thing too is we hooked up 48, and their numbers went through the roof. And for years, they never had any kind of detections at all there.
And just for knowledge here, other homes in town, nowhere near any town-owned property have tested positive.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could just be something that's naturally occurring from years of other, household contaminants.
I mean, this stuff's been around since before World War II.
Right.
Who the heck knows where it's been deposited? How?
Or these dumps, as we call them.
No, not even dumps, it's
Could be
just, it
anywhere.
could
It
be,
could just be a backyard burn pit from somebody had in the 40s and 50s.
yeah.
So,
I mean, it doesn't have a cased well, something like that, something on it, and that's just gonna be, it's only X parts per trillion. I mean, it doesn't take much.
Sure. I mean, you're talking a rust inhibitor, God knows what it was put on, and where those things ended up.
Sometimes it's not always our fault.
Yeah.
as far as this project overall is moving along very well. We're in the second week of digging. They ran across some pretty good sized rocks in the corner of South Munson Road, but that set them back almost a week, I'm sorry, a
What?
day.
They found some rocks? In Hampden?
I can't
Go
believe it.
figure.
Someone must have put it.
Was it Redstone or
Right.
But it- I don't think so.
was it the good stuff?
But then, now they got past it, they're working up South Munson.
How's the pump station project
They
going?
just started clearing, just, yeah, going on that, and so the schedule, they're gonna move forward. Baltazar does not
Yeah,
let grass grow,
right.
But they'll replace the grass after.
so.
Oh, while they're out working in the Audubon, count those deer pellets at the same
Take a
time.
drive down on Cross Road to see the job.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Real nice job.
They did.
Well, I think also kudos to you guys for taking care of that homeowner on Scannick right away. I mean, that was bip bop, done, and boom, that person was hooked up, and great
Yeah,
response.
very happy.
Yeah,
That was within a week.
Yep, and the best part, we saved money.
right. I mean, because it came off the Baltazar quote, basically, you know, you did the work.
And when he sent me the invoice, it was $500 less than we quoted. So
We're gonna have
Had a good day that
We're
day.
gonna have you work on more of our
we
stuff.
paid it right away. I
Maybe you can help with those cruisers, Scott.
rushed out, well, I listened to it.
Giving our money away.
So it's gonna be option one, huh?
So we'll have to,
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, basically, so Mr. Fasaro should be okay with one and keep him on the testing schedule, basically. All right.
I think he'll be very happy with that.
At what point do you think with Baltazar's work, do we stop testing the households? I mean, are we gonna be able to just pretty much not test the bulk, what are these 20,
They come online.
20-something by the end?
As soon
of
as
the
they come online, you should,
Right, which is projected for the fall, right?
right, the end of the year, and I'm looking at.
So we budgeted for, we did cut that back a little bit this year, but we still should be able to be fine with 2 testing cycles at the most, instead of 4.
I
At
would
this
say
number,
so.
yeah.
We'll discuss that with homeowners, make sure he's comfortable with it, because this is the problem. We're a supplier. Water, Scantic Valley Water District is the water supplier, and PFAS and VOCs is part of Board of Health.
All right. That's it, that's the plan for now.
Plan, great job, people, you know?
Thank you.
And we should get those right of entries out. Want to touch base this week?
Yeah, I've got a few emails from people saying, where are they, where are they? They'll be out soon,
Okay.
and they think I'm just ignoring them.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, John.
Paul, you've been involved in this since the original, so you've lived it since,
Yeah, it's been a journey, I'll tell you.
you know,
But,
back when you were younger and not so gray.
yeah, I had no gray. Comes quick.
Ever since he's been on this water board, he's got,
Really?
Just seen him 3 years ago.
we'll keep you updated if
Thank
anything
you.
changes.
Okay, thank you. Good night. What do we got here? Review and assign the motions for the annual town meeting and warrant articles.
Sorry,
Did you have your meeting this afternoon?
Yes.
You want to preface this with that?
Do the licenses
you wanna do
first while
Dan's
Dan's here?
I want to do Dan first.
Sure. Sure he wants to stay here
What does
longer.
Dan want?
I don't mind staying, I gotta keep an eye on
He's
you.
got the entertainment and then one of the liquor permits.
Well, we can do that. Okay, we're gonna skip over to vote, and we're gonna do the one, an entertainment license. So what's the status? You talked to the school?
No, I haven't talked to school, I'm talking to you guys first, there's no sense to talk to the school, I have to look at you guys. So I think the easy one is to do the entertainment license, hopefully you'd be willing to grant that. And then, I'd also ask that you waive the fee, given that it's a community event, so I don't have to spend $50 on application for that.
Jesus.
25.
25. The other one's 50, because
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask for that one too.
Where's
Do we
the,
have an entertainment license or no?
didn't, Don's
Oh, Don's got it.
what?
You have his entertainment license then.
I know.
You have all the licenses.
ton of them.
No, I got a lot of, I got liquor license, but I can't find the entertainment license. Oh, here we are. What's this?
After the liquor.
Okay. Here it is here. Request to waive fee, $25 for the community event. Entertainment license. Is it, what day is this, what's the day of the week is this, gonna be? Thursday? Thursday. June 19th.
I think it's not a Sunday.
5 to 9 PM.
Parking lot will open at 5, show goes 6 to 9.
We got check types of entertainment. Is there gonna have dancing, live music,
Live music,
concert?
there may be dancing, I can't.
Somebody might
control what
dance.
people are gonna do. There'll be no nudity, I thought that was.
Public show? No.
No promises.
What are these X's here? What are these X's?
That's what he.
Those are the things that are gonna happen.
It's just, yeah,
The questions on the application.
Well, it says check mark, it's an X. So this could be a,
We're gonna have a long talk on the liquor one.
dancing, live music, concert, and public show with an asterisk. It must be defining public show, right?
Yeah, that's not-
it's printed on that paper.
The asterisk is request to waive $20 fee. Oh, asterisk is, if this is a public show, state whether the show will include dancing by patrons, dancing by entertainers or performers, recorded or live music, use of application system,
All the above so far?
theatrical exhibitions, no. Play or moving
No movies.
picture, no. Floor show of any description,
Sounds like theater.
light show,
Nope.
No drone.
any other dynamic audio or visual show, whether live or recorded. Oh, I see, so you put in here, there may be dancing by patrons, but I'm not sure. It's an outdoor concert, there will be application system.
It would be encouraged then.
People wanna dance, I don't see,
You consider the
not a footloose situation here, I don't think.
Like Woodstock, we're talking Woodstock.
100 to 400. Bent weather, parking, police officers, hired security, first aid, food vendors. What kind of food you got?
It's just the normal ones, Ferrandino, I've reached out to Bond, and then Batch Ice Cream.
That is good.
They like, will not get back to me, I don't know if they're.
I think you're not gonna have those food, like food trucks, like,
So Batch Ice Cream is a truck,
Yeah.
Ferrandino is a truck, and then, I don't believe that Bond is a truck, I think I'm just gonna ask them to do burgers and hot dogs. So there's a bit cheap option there for people that wanna just get an easy bite.
yeah. That's the permit request. Here's the
I
brochure.
mean, the only caveat is next to a residential, is this more right behind the gym, you think, or?
Yeah, right behind the gym would be the stage.
So as far away from the homes as possible, or?
Yeah, it's
I mean, it is a,
located in the back of the
it
property.
is a weeknight and,
I don't know, it doesn't say anything, do I need to notify the people on James Circle, is that what it is, or,
perennial lane.
Perennial lane.
I don't know.
Don't see anything.
It's not in there, I just didn't know. I thought James would say something.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to just tell them,
You want a motion?
Please,
I move to grant the entertainment license for 619 for Parks and Rec Department from the hours of 5 PM to 9 PM at TWB for the event listed, what's it called?
Rock into summer.
Rock into Summer.
are we gonna make it contingent on the Wilbraham Regional School?
I would make contingent.
Contingent on approval from the regional school district.
I'll second that with
Well, I've
a,
already got that approval I've got approval for the concert. I haven't reached out to them for that. I have the facility and I've got approval for that.
Oh, you got that, but you haven't reached on the liquor
I've talked to
license.
them about alcohol,
Okay,
for
okay.
beer and wine.
I'll second that with the caveat that we waive the fee as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll sign that right now. And then the next thing we have is the
One of a series of,
let's do his, I guess.
This is in the back.
What?
Dan's liquor permit's all the way in the back.
John Sullivan technically, but he can be here tonight. Maybe I can just start a little bit and, provide you guys some highlights from his application. And Craig had talked about, I came up with kind of a safety plan or the safety issues that we talked about at the last meeting. So, so the reason we're going for the beer and wine license is pretty simple. It encourages adult participation and hopes to bring more families out to the event. Talking a little bit more about safety, this is geared towards the responsible adults. It's, it's not a place or a venue where we think that we're gonna have a bunch of 20-somethings coming to look to get blasted or drunk or anything like that. And I wouldn't expect a lot of older teenagers to attend this event either, as far as, having trouble with underage drinking. I don't think it's gonna be an event that they're looking to attend. So I just wanted to go through some other highlights from John's application. He provides basically a full-service beer, wine. It's a cart that he has, he calls it a garden, but he brings a cart in. All of his servers are tip certified, which is, for those that aren't familiar, it's a training to prioritize responsible alcohol service and prevent alcohol-related issues like over-serving, serving to minors, and drunk driving. He's going to have a controlled fenced-off entry point that'll be 21 plus only, which will have checkpoints for ID checks, and everybody will receive a wristband once their ID has been checked, to ensure alcohol is only served to those 21 and older. There'll be clear 21 plus signage at entry points to that beer garden. And John's staff will be held solely responsible for the ID checks. As far as portion control goes, we're limiting that to beer and wine, like we talked a little bit about, because to slow the pace of consumption and the alcohol content, it's basically standardizing drinks, right? You can't have a tall pour on, you can have a tall pour on a hard liquor beverage, but you know what you're serving when you serve a 12-ounce beer, 16-ounce beer, when you serve a glass of wine. You know what you're serving to the people. And then part of the reason that we're having food trucks on site is to have something in people's stomachs, so that you don't have people coming on an empty stomach, hopefully, it's hard enough to put something in their bellies. And that's why we're not going for a full liquor license. We're trying to be as responsible as possible. Security and law enforcement, there'll be on-site police. I believe we have to have 2 officers. I was talking to the chief before this. And there will also be private security staff provided by John as well. They can quickly handle issues and deter overconsumption and misconduct at the event. Their presence reinforces safety for all attendees. And we will also have security on the exit routes after the concert is over to make sure that people aren't taking beverages to go, alcoholic beverages to go. They'll be asked to dump those out if they are walking out with a cup or whatever they may have, to make sure that we don't have people taking beverages on them. Just a little background on John Sullivan. He's a Hampden resident. He's very active in our community. He's a coach for us, and he's supported town events like Fall Fest and Safety Night. He's the owner and operator of East Village Tavern, Nathan Bill's, and the Boulevard Tavern and Grill, so he knows his way around serving alcohol and the requirements around it. For the last 2 years, in 23 and 24, he's run the East Long Meadow Carnival Beer Garden and had 0 issues at all. That's a much larger scale event than I would suspect this one is going to be. He also has experience serving alcohol for class reunions and alumni gatherings at schools. He just ran a beer tent at the Van Horn Park in Springfield this past weekend for a 5K race that was being held there, a benefit 5K race. He has a perfect record with the Massachusetts Alcohol Beverages Control Commission. No marks on his record at all for that. What else can I say? John is really going above and beyond for us for this event. He's donating the stage for the band. He is he's giving a portion of the proceeds to the Recreation Association of Hampden, and he's assisting with banners if we need anything like that. There's nothing this guy won't do to help us out. So he's really pretty wonderful. So at the end of the day, if you're going to issue a one-day beer and wine permit, John Sullivan's the guy to give it to.
So question I have,
Yep.
the event's from 5 to 9.
Yep.
The application's from 5 to 9.
Okay.
Is there a last call, do you think?
That's a good question. Certainly, we can do that. We can establish a time, 8:30, 8:15 for last call. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that way you're not able to consume all the way up until the very end.
Yep.
That would be my only caveat.
Do you want to establish that time now?
I'd still like to hear from the school. I guess I'm in favor of what he's talking about, but I mean, the school property is the school property. I think we're getting a positive endorsement. You brought it up before, Don, that, you know, we got to check all the boxes as part of this.
I did speak to somebody on the school committee today, and they did not think it would be a huge hurdle. But that's just one person that I talked to. You know, that doesn't mean anything. My next step would be, with approval from you guys, is go to John Provost and see what he says. And I'm hoping that he'll be kind with 11 days left on the lease. That's what the lease says, is right, it's 6:30? Do we know that for a fact?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, you know, I'm hoping with 11 days, we have, they have John is fully, he just gave me his insurance certificate today. He's getting another $1 million on top of this, $2 million, I think, that he got for this. So he's fully insured, the town is fully insured, and I'm hopefully that will be enough to sway the school or sway the school district to let us do this event with the beer and wine garden.
So would you like to put it on the record that we endorse his application to the school committee, to the school department?
Yes.
Put it that way? Yeah. And I think we should put in Craig's idea that last call should be like 8:45 or something like that. Or-
Yeah, I was thinking 8:30.
I like 8:30.
Yeah, I was thinking 8:30.
Yeah. I mean, talk about the people next door. We want time for them. I mean, this can't be like, oh, cleanup takes till 10:30 and they're still, you know, it is a work night.
I would imagine once the music is done, that it will not be loud after that.
Oh, no, but I mean, it's still gonna knock the stage down. Maybe they come back the next day and do whatever. Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we endorse the application of Parks and Rec for a beer and wine permit on June 19th to the school district.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Just one quick follow-up. So do I need to come back to you? You guys have to vote again if I get approval?
On the permit, actually.
We're gonna have to vote the actual permit.
The actual permit.
Yeah, I don't know if
Can
you
you
have,
vote the actual permit based on approval from?
no, because they might have some comments, and I think, you know, we'll take that into effect. I don't think you need to be here for it,
Okay.
but it would probably come up at our next meeting. If they get back to it quick enough, we do like a half hour of business before the town meeting anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so we could do it next Monday.
right.
Okay, perfect, because I do need to start getting promotional materials
Yeah.
out, and if I do have then I'd like to get that on the promotional materials. All right, thank you guys very much. If you have any questions, I'm out of here.
All right.
All right, see you.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, we're gonna review and sign motions for the annual town meeting warrant. All right,
Quick recap, Don, before we do that, just on the warrant thing. Don, Brent, and I attended the school committee, or sorry, senior center building committee meeting this morning, and they did endorse that they will offer an amendment to their amount on the floor, and make a reduction in their ask and split their repair costs over 2 fiscal years. At worst, possibly even come back in the fall, depending on our cash situation. Did I recap? That sounds right?
yeah.
Okay.
So the initial motion, you still want it to read 2:30? Or is the initial?
Well, let's see.
Reduced.
So Gary is going to make the motion at 2:30, and then, after that's seconded, I believe Don Collins will come forth and offer an amendment to that motion for a lower amount. The explanation will ensue. You'll need 2 votes, 1 for the amendment and 1 for the motion as amended. I did say, you know, you could just motion the lower amount, but they made a point, it's important they make the point that this is all needed. They want to really just, they're not going to take it forever on it, but,
Right.
yeah.
And they wanted people to know that they're doing something to help,
Right,
you know.
right.
Gary's gonna make the motion?
So Don, you got the consent? All right.
Okay, so what's,
So you got the consent, you got nothing, right?
I do?
For the list. Once you,
It says reader if necessary.
No, at the top, reader, right there.
Oh, reader, consent, in the blue.
Want the moderator do that, or do we have to?
I think Rick is gonna do the explanation
Yeah,
first.
we still have to make a motion on it?
Yeah, I met with Rick and Rose earlier today, so Rick's gonna have this two-paragraph explanation of what the consent agenda is, the
Okay.
process, and what's included.
Okay, so the reader, if necessary, is only if they vote no, we want to hear everything.
There has to be a consent agenda, so Rick's gonna do his two paragraphs, and then there needs to be a motion from a registered voter in town to accept the consent agenda as written. So that would be, as currently written.
We probably should.
So backup readers, by the way, typically, library, let's just assume it's not gonna be needed, but I think everybody knows who their things are in case they're needed.
Accessories, conservation, library,
You
state.
can pretty much stand up there and do them all, yeah, God forbid,
This one here, okay.
Let's hope we can plow through them.
right, all right, I got
Yeah,
it.
when you spoke, did you talk to Rick and Rose today?
Yes.
Did Rick say, is he going to not read all of them?
Correct, that he is going to summarize the article and then ask for a motion.
Okay,
So that way we're not duplicating efforts.
okay, okay. All right, so now we're on to 7, the annual budget, which go for that.
I got 8,
8 is the enterprise.
9, resource.
9 is funding for the 150th anniversary event.
Is that what you want for the motion?
Right.
That's what was discussed in the.
No action.
No action.
Article 12, you don't think one of the assessors wants to make that motion?
They might be able to speak to it better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Took us two.
They were,
Took us 2 meetings to understand it, I just.
I still don't understand it.
Yeah, right, so.
They were hesitant to take ownership of this article during the
Oh,
meeting.
really?
But they're the one that presented it to us.
Yeah.
Senator Phil was supposed to do it.
And why would they be hesitant? I guess my point is here, anything I've seen from other towns, almost every town has put this on this time. Yeah, I think it's, I think it's
Yeah, I
something
would
that the
ask.
veterans, state veterans are kind of pushing.
I don't know if Jason can.
Jason
Jason's on
can't,
it.
right, he's not a resident of Hampden.
Right, you have to be an assessor.
Okay, but I mean, one of the assessors.
One of the assessors.
Yeah,
Could ask.
Phil was pretty knowledgeable on it too, wasn't he?
seemed that, yeah.
But he might not want to because I think he's
Oh, he is.
the recipient of.
Oh,
Okay, or Bob then.
Yeah.
I would offer it to them first before we take it, that's all,
Okay.
yeah.
How about Kelly? She's not a veteran, is she?
She does not live in
Doesn't live
Hampton
here.
either.
Really? I
I mean, if I have to read it,
Man.
I just
Okay. the
I need
school
somebody to give a
one.
better
You got the free
explanation.
one? You got the one for free? Nice, I gotta ask for money?
What's that?
You get the change of use, but I'm the one asking for money.
Here, wait till the next one. I'm doing that one too.
Oh, you got more money.
Resource officer.
Oh, you got the
Prior year
lowest
bill, no prior year bills, right? We don't pay them anyhow, even if we have them. Let's see, additional veterans exemption. Thornton Burgess change of purpose.
Okay,
Well, there's no money, but
Right.
that's gonna be
a
a
little
It'd be
explanation.
controversial.
I did talk to Rick about maybe holding I think John had mentioned that, holding a general discussion about these 3 articles and then,
having a
And
vote.
like you say, you almost think that without the first one going, the second 2 are kind of like, I don't want to say moot, but really in question at that point, yeah.
Right.
All right, capital projects,
What's this former third, oh, that's okay. The highway lawnmower. Mhm.
do those amounts look right to you from your memory? I'll double check with advisory, but
20,000?
20,000 and 23.
I think it was 20 after you have down a bit in the after.
Yeah. And then we have the Parks and Rec lawnmower. They're gonna make that motion.
I'm sorry, that was my stomach.
Then the senior citizens repairs and renovation.
Yeah, that's not actually me, so that'll be Gary.
Gary,
First one, yeah.
okay. And then the fire department, who's gonna do that?
Probably Mark.
I assume Mark. Mark is nominated.
Okay,
And then is it pretty much Michelle for all the school committee ones?
So many,
Yeah, maybe it's either her or Rich, it really can't be one of the others, it can't be anybody else.
right?
Yeah. Assuming Rich is in country. Yeah. He can zoom in.
Minnetonka Regional High. So what are they doing on that now?
Well, I liked what you said before, that we almost could have radio contact from the high school, and these could be moot by the time we get to them.
Right.
Especially if it's after the fire station, we could be talking, we could be on these at 9 or after 9 o'clock.
Right.
And all of a sudden you get the word that, by the way, we're gonna turn them all down.
Right.
So they're voting as one, but
No, they're
subdividing.
taking, I saw they're taking, yes, 4 separate votes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, how are they gonna do that?
They're gonna group them, aren't they?
They did it before.
There's what,
So
1,
we
2,
could-
3,
we
4,
could-
They
5.
have one warrant article,
I know, yeah. But,
and they're gonna say,
but we've done that for CPA once in the past too. We've had a one warrant article, but subsections for separate votes inside. For
so do you make,
Then they have
do you
total
make
at
the
the end.
do you make the motion that this is the warrant, I move we amend? Or or I move?
Well,
No, so let's say, so do you say, do I move, this is just for my own knowledge, really. Do I move, so they got this warrant article that says they want $100,000, let's say, right? So I move that we replace the split AC units for for 10,000,
yeah,
right?
yep.
What does that do with the warrant article, though? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the overall.
Because then the other
umbrella-
things aren't mentioned, right?
Yeah, it's,
Right, because we received one lump thing, yeah.
Maybe they have to take a motion to separate them
Separate.
I don't think they.
within the article?
maybe.
Or amend it?
They don't have a total dollar amount until all the à la carte add-ins are,
I thought,
Total up.
we went through this last year. I thought we had that straightened out.
Yeah.
Look, make them separate, be so much easier for, and again,
I don't know how they do it.
made
That's
a
not-
problem, made a problem, we didn't need to have a problem.
Right.
It wasn't 4 separate capital requests, but we could be moving no action on all 4.
Right, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know, we may have, and I talked about this last week, do we have a sense of our stance on some of these? I think we beat that last week. I don't know how we felt on some of the 3 Green Meadow ones and some of the Minichog ones as well. And didn't I hear
were we gonna amend?
Didn't I hear there was a bit of a discussion about the number for the Kubota anyhow was over requested? Mark Ducey had a concern about that?
Yeah, I'd seen it,
That the
John
number
Matthews.
requested had nothing to do with the quote.
John Matthews had shared a lower quote amount for that Kubota.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the district is planning to
That's still pretty cheap.
offer a lower amount.
Yeah. If I go back to one article, I do want to share a conversation I had with Mark today.
We amend.
This is about-
the 30, is that put back on them?
We could-
That gets into, are we allowed to?
29.
Well, that gets back, are we allowed to amend, or is it like the school budget, up, down?
Right,
Right. So we had that discussion last year too. Basically, we turn it down, there's no amendment per se, because if we turn it down, they can spend what they want. If we amend it lower, it's not our bill, technically, because it shouldn't even come to us
Right.
at 30. You know, if it's 30,000, it's in your budget,
we pay,
That's
we
true,
pay
yeah.
and we pay
20%.
the 20% as a,
Right.
right?
So yeah, that one, I wouldn't warrant an amendment then, because then they could say, oh, well, you authorized the payment.
Right. For $29,999.
Right.
What to think about that one? We got a week to think about it.
Talking to Mark about just about the mowing thing. And the one thing that really hasn't been discussed, because this took place outside of us, is that the increase to the highway department, looking at schedule, he's doubling the space he has to mow, if not larger. His equipment doesn't reflect what needs to be done. And he said, well, I need to know a mowing schedule. I said, you should be reaching out to Herb. They've got that mowing schedule that they've used for 20-plus years, and just ask how they do it. But you're using a walk behind, or whatever they use now, or the zero turn over a space that's much larger than you need now. So perhaps your request for a mower should be larger, you know, and it goes back to, why then is somebody going over what you're mowing with another mower? So I did say to Mark, this might be part of your discussion when you come in on the 19th with the construction thing.
Right.
You know, what's the overall plan for maintenance at Thornton Burgess? And really, what do you need for equipment? Because, you know, it's a zero turn, I think I see like they use at Garage Park all the time on the truck.
Yeah, yeah.
And you look at the Garage Park, the town hall, all the properties they're doing don't even equal what they're picking up. You know, so I think there needs to say a little more thought about what we're doing as an overall plan with ground maintenance.
I think they'll all hinge on a couple articles prior to that.
Could be, but I think that colors our discussion about those articles, you know. If the school department has a mower they've used over there, leave it. So, and that pretty much gets down to the end of the school things, and then after that, we have now your planning board stuff,
Well, we need a volunteer for 28.
28.
That should be,
I think that should be Doug. Oh, no, it's probably gonna be
Be sure, yeah.
Sherry, I would think, yeah. Or that Jen
John,
Bagby.
They've done them in the past.
Did it last time.
MLT has done them in the past.
Jen's done it,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe they should.
Yeah,
no, that was
that would
good.
be my preference.
I would suggest
against
that,
the first time, so-
I was gonna,
I was the sole vote no against it.
I would suggest,
Then you should push it, you.
I would suggest that they,
You want a butter? No.
this is gonna be a difficult discussion, because no one's gonna understand what's going on here.
Right. Technically, even though it's no money, it's tough to, yeah.
Because we've already authorized the purchase, right?
Right,
We've authorized the money.
The money.
from CPA, again, it's just, you know. But these CPA ones take the most, it could be bigger than the fire station. And, I
Money
mean,
will be there, right?
and you consider, this really, 28 goes along with 29B,
Yes.
yeah.
The reason we couldn't approve the purchase of the lot is because the lot wasn't created at the time
It was an A&R grant.
of the previous town meeting.
So the A and R is completed now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the lot exists now.
All right,
Anybody buy the lot that's for sale?
I have not heard.
Wow. Nothing stays on the market, I'm surprised.
planning board.
Well, that's been up there for a while, though. 3 years.
That one on Allen Street went pretty quick. By Bill Wilson, that was the big one.
So planning board, the question that has been kicked around is, how does the planning board recommendation, the text of the proposed bylaw, get into town meeting record essentially, right? How does it become properly in front of the voters? And according to Rose, the motion can refer to a printed text of
Addendum.
the bylaw, essentially. The planning board report, as long as we have, as long as we refer to the text, so she's recommended having a handout, right? So as long as we refer to that in the motion, and the town clerk certifies that it is available at the town meeting, it will be sufficient for the Attorney General's purposes. I have posted copies of both of the proposed amendments online on the town meeting page last week, so there's about 2 weeks in the, in the public eye, apart from the whole planning board process of developing the bylaw and having the public hearing and all that kind of stuff, so. I mean, residents did have the chance to warn about it, in Rose's opinion, so she thinks it would not be proper to do it that way. The Attorney General would be okay with that.
Okay?
We'll go back.
We get the advisory financial things, the usual.
So that's what, 64 articles?
34. All right, we got some liquor licenses here, one-day liquor licenses. So I have the Hampden Senior Center for the May 29th, 6 to 7:30. This is for the Atlantic River Artisans Learning Through Art Program event. A June 21st, Saturday, June 21st, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Beer and wine for a one-day, for an art show reception.
That's just the stuff left over from the 29th.
The Sunday, June 22nd, for a, this was a certified.
It's a weekend show.
Weekend show. One day, this is for another art show.
It's a weekend.
Yes, the weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
That's the weekend, oh, yeah, okay. And then the August 23rd, from 5 to 9 p.m. for looking for a dinner dance.
Put on your calendar, Don.
At the Hampden Senior Center.
Motion to approve the 4 requests from the senior center.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have requests from the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Dance,
Dinner dance, nice.
entertainment?
Yeah, we can.
Entertainment license.
Veterans of Foreign Wars, for a ladies auxiliary purse bingo fundraiser on May 9th, 2025, 6 to 10 p.m. And what's purse bingo?
I think you win a purse. I know St. Michael's had this
I think it's just-
a few months ago, yeah.
Change, maybe?
Oh, really?
Part of the prize.
Okay, Saturday and May 17th from 4 to 9 p.m., a Jack and Jill party. Saturday, June 7th, 2 to 10 p.m., what is this? Another Jack and Jill party.
I think it's funny, there are 4 Jack and Jills, all with different times. Yeah.
It's whatever they rent it for.
We have a birthday party, June 14th, 3 to 11 p.m.
Older adult.
We don't know if that's adults or not, must be adults.
There's older adult on here.
Where does it say? Oh, I'm not putting there, okay, all right. Do we have the June 22nd, 1 to 5, high school graduation party?
And that gets into our conversation.
That gets into our conversation.
That's one you already approved.
That's one we already approved?
That was the one that, yeah, like,
Oh, that's.
That was last week.
Oh, good, Marquez, okay, all right. Then we had June 28th, 3 to 8 p.m., a Jack and Jill.
You're a popular couple.
Jack and Jill are really partying up here.
They got a big hill to go up.
Let's see, no wonder they fell down the hill.
Well played.
Motion to adjourn.
Then we have a Saturday, July 12th, 1 to 6 p.m., a celebration of life. Is that really? Okay, and then we have a Saturday, July 26th, 2 to 10 p.m. What is this one?
Baby shower.
I don't think they should be there at 10 o'clock on a baby shower, but that's all right, that's just me.
Baby shower,
Dad's got to be
2 to 10 baby shower. Oh, boy. Okay, then Jack and Jill is back with us on August 16th from 5 to 11.
The longest one, these people are standing there till 11
Looks
o'clock.
like. Okay,
Well, I think, Craig, you saw that discussion with, with the VFW and all.
Yeah, I was online for that one.
Yeah, so I mean, I think, we've had discussions in the past about, different ages being there, but I think it was great having Laura in. It's time to rethink it a bit and
Yeah, I don't see
I
a difference
thought
between
with the-
outside and inside. I don't see a difference between not the pavilion or whether they're inside the
That's why I think the point
facility.
we made there. So I'd make a motion to approve the 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 requests. We're not doing the August 30th because we don't have a time yet, yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we have, next thing we have is,
This is your consent agenda?
we gotta approve the release of the executive session minutes.
So,
Consent agenda?
Yeah,
yes, basically, but nobody can. So, quick recap, we take minutes every week. Sometimes they're executive session, once a year we're supposed to review and see if some are supposed to be released to the public. Some may not be. Donna's gone through the executive session minutes for the past year or so. I thought it was important to get them done before Craig left the board because many of them involved his participation. And Don, you have a list that you would suggest
right.
holding or not holding?
So,
You're holding first?
so the holding, I would suggest there are 5/28, 24, 6/24, 24, 7/29, 24, 1/16, 25, 1/22, 25, and 1/27, 25, because all those either deal with personnel matter or litigation that's still going on.
I'll make that motion to hold those executive sessions without release, minutes without release.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the remaining, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know, there's about 20 of them.
I'll make a motion to all the executive session minutes in 24 up to this point, in 25 as detailed by the chair, be released.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And those are basically all our collective bargaining discussions.
See how sausage is being made, you can read this minute around.
Okay.
Sure, there'll be, no.
Select board reports.
I have one thing for the Board of Health Board, no, still Board of Health. We have the annual quote from Fabry Consultants for testing at the landfill, and this is in line with the budget we had and our thing, so total estimate is $37,800 for WJF. Authorization to go ahead with that contract.
How much? 37 what?
37,800, the annual thing for the landfill testing.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I have nothing to report.
Thank you for coming today. Brian, I guess.
Right. We're not signing the East Village Tavern thing until next, we're gonna wait until he hears. Okay.
Oh, we did have a permit for it. I didn't realize we did.
Yeah, we did it for, yeah, we did it for, Brian, still waiting for Brian, town administrator report.
So we are still hiring for 2 positions with the highway department. Mark and I had, Mark had scheduled 2 interviews that I sat in on today with 2 individuals. And we're gonna be continuing to think about it and move forward with that. So we still have those positions as of now. One thing I wanted to ask the board was, in terms of any sort of handouts for town meeting and articles related to TWB. I had shared that 1-page document with the board. Is that something that would go out beforehand? Or should that be something that's handed out at town meeting?
I'd like to see it online as soon as possible. I think people, it's a great recap, and I think people walking in as informed as possible is good. Have some there for handout,
Yeah.
but let's get it out to
Let's
them.
put it on post-it.
Okay, because there was some concern that it was written in a manner that it was persuading, attempt to persuade voters to vote a certain way instead of being factually based, I guess. But I'll read through it and I'll,
Well, I think the facts you presented and the cost with the upgrade, fixing here are evidence-based. Those
Yeah.
are facts.
okay.
You know, we spent a lot of money with consultants and they told us.
Okay.
The other thing, which is on town meeting real quick, I don't know if you have anything else, but have we found if the high school was providing babysitters again? Babysitters for the town meeting?
Yeah, so
Childcare?
Steve said he could do till 8 o'clock again, which,
Only till 8
that
o'clock?
does us for, yeah. And last time, at least we started at 6:30, so it wasn't bad, but 7 to 8 doesn't really do us much.
No.
So is that
Doing it?
something we're gonna advertise or not advertise?
I don't think
I
now it
don't
gets
think, I
us
don't
much.
think an hour gets it done by the time we,
Check everybody in and stuff. I anticipate another pretty good, that's a good thought. We have a big number in the thing. Is this company setting up for the second room?
Yeah, oh yeah, I should touch base on that. Yes, so we're setting up the same as we did for the fall.
Okay.
I did talk to Eva.
Talk to Bob or backup.
backup person,
I talked to Rick and I suggested that he should
Reach out to Bob.
reach out to whoever he wanted for the assistant moderator. I think he said Bob.
Okay.
So that should be all set if we reach capacity in the cafeteria. I talked with Eva this,
Wonder if those chairs are still there.
oh, so speaking of chairs, so I did check in with Mark and we're gonna, he can trail over these bluer, nicer chairs over to the gymnasium.
No, but actually, that's a question.
Yeah.
I mean, are the chairs still there?
Are the auditorium chairs still there?
Oh, the ones in the cafeteria are still there,
Right, the
yes.
last ones they had borrowed from some other school, I thought, the ones in the gym, yeah.
Right, the ones that were used in the gym are no longer there. So I checked in with Mark and his guys can bring over a load of,
Okay, I will just, and I'm sure Dan would say the same thing. Be careful what chairs you put on that floor. That floor is
yeah,
very susceptible to,
Gouging.
right.
yep. That's why I was thinking these blue ones are newer and
Decent
have
time of
the,
year, maybe the sit backup room could be outside where the party's gonna be.
I'm all about annual town meeting outside, but
Really speeds it up.
Sit on the grass on the hill.
What they did during COVID, it was, yeah, that'd be so cool.
a lot of towns,
The
a lot of
amphitheater
towns
thing.
did that, a lot of towns did, they had it
And we
outside.
could be set up in the gazebo. Perfect, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they can set baby outside, so. You know,
Extra people can just go sit on the first fairway and just watch us from there.
Only if they have a membership.
Good.
I checked with Eva, she was planning on check-in starting at 6.
Just to make it official, I heard there were 2 candidates for the special election that have turned in papers, so that's moving along. Just for information, I did talk to Jim Smith, for both chairs of the 2 respective town committees, and we are going to reach out to both candidates to see if they're interested in a candidate's night.
Oh, good. All right. Anything else to come before the board?
Lauren,
Ryan? All right,
That's it.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor? Aye. There you go. Yep.